Hey everybody, it's Party Elite, and we're going to take a look at some big news today. We saw it coming quite literally.
There's nothing to see here.
There's nothing to see here.
But now we have some details. As a part of Creative Assembly's 30th anniversary celebrations, there are 30 Regiments of Renown coming for the Beastmen, the Wood Elves, the Warriors of Chaos, Bretonnia and Norsca. So, happy early birthday, Creative Assembly, and thank you very much. We're also going to get something for all the non-DLC factions, but we don't have details on that yet, so we'll discuss that when we do. In this video, I want to take a look at the Regiments of Renown we've seen stats and details for, and contemplate their implications. Of course, these are early thoughts. I'd love to hear yours too, and once we get to play with them, more solid strategies and tactics will form. Let's start with the Beastmen. The Blackhorn's Ravagers are Goreherd with shields, getting Vanguard deployment, stock, and the Rowdy ability. With Vanguard deployment and stock, we can see this unit be a good addition to clever ambush approaches, coming in for flanking maneuvers and staying safe from any potential ranged fire by either staying hidden from it or using their bronze level shields. This will let them hit lines with decent strength, and they'll also be a nice addition to the surprise all-Vanguard Beastmen armies. Rowdy will keep them fighting tirelessly and keep their will to fight going as well. Destroyers of Drakkwald are Ungor spearmen with shields and have been given a pretty high melee defense, surpassing the regular stat of 30 and the triple gold rank stat of 41 as well, alongside the ability to cause poison damage. I've always spoken highly of poison, and having an anti-large unit with poison will make a great addition to the field to get work done alongside those Senegor with great weapons or other Ungor spearmen herd. They might replace Poison Warhounds in that role because of their extra anti-large damage, but the Poison Warhounds have the speed advantage that comes in handy to shut down range support afterward. They might also make for a good bodyguard for units like Morgur against armies like the Warriors of Chaos. A dragon-riding lord would be a bit more hesitant to dive into poisonous spears, and there's no range support to chase after either. The Butchers of Kalkengard are Minotaurs with shields, adding terror and regeneration to their great animations and damage-dealing capabilities. As a big fan of the morale battle, this adds a nice bit of punching power to the Beastmen. There are a couple of terrifying units in the Beastmen roster, like Giants and Cygors, but by adding these guys in, that terror can spread a little bit further, a little bit faster, and with a nice rear charge into a unit that doesn't have immunity to psychology, you can expect a near immediate break in morale because of the sheer volume of damage likely to be done. This won't work against all factions, of course, but will be a worthwhile pick against Greenskins or Bretonnians who stray away from their Grail Relique, and you'll be able to pull them out of an engagement, allowing for some regeneration to take place as well. Fire now makes more sense to take against the Beastmen too. Outside of Morgur's regeneration, there's the potential of these Minotaurs as well. They're going to be utterly amazing. Korok's Man Rippers are Bestigor herd meant to tackle enemy large units. Charge defense against large and anti-large and armor-piercing damage makes these guys quite mean. Solid melee attack and melee defense too, and I'd hate to see them paired up with the Destroyers of Drakkwald and their poison support. The Eye of Morsleib is a Cygor that likes to donate amber to enemies on the battlefield. His Warp Gaze ability will pin a unit in place, holding a potential target in place to chuck stones at them with better success, or preventing a charge from coming in or a unit from escaping. We've seen the Prey of Anathrema on the field. This is the equivalent to that without the missile resistance debuff though. There will definitely be tactical uses for this Cygor, but I wonder how prevalent he will be on the multiplayer battlefield. A Cygor is pretty expensive as it is, and this one will be pricier. Great for holding pesky Wood Elf archers in place or stopping a general in the midst of an escape to bring a Gorbel or Minotaurs with great weapons down on them, but let's see how expensive they are and if they'll be worth taking to the field. Sons of Goros are Senegor herd with great weapons and added magic attacks in melee. That's a pretty big deal when facing off against Savage Orcs, ethereal units, and other units with physical damage resistance. The Beastmen have typically fallen behind. I imagine we'll start seeing these guys on the field against Vampire Counts and Greenskins potentially as a result. Their Guardian ability imbues any nearby friendly character within a 30-meter range with physical resistance. That can be extremely helpful in a pinch, and I wonder if it'll work hard enough to negate, say, Morgur's innate weakness to fire. I am a big fan of Morgur, yes. Moving on to the Wood Elves. First up, the Winterheart Guards are a unit of Eternal Guard with shields, but they're unbreakable and have charge defense against all units. Providing an unbreakable center or flank is always great, and especially so when you've got to protect your ranged contingent behind the front line. I think these will be a great addition to a well-micromanaged kiting army, and their armor-piercing anti-large stats will make quite the difference on the field. The Firebark Elders, referred to as the Ironbark Elders on the FAQ, are a unit of treekin that look absolutely amazing. In a hilarious showcase of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, the Firebark Elders are very resistant to fire damage and have a wildfire aura to help you take trees to battle. Units near the Firebark Elders will have their weakness to fire removed. This doesn't translate to a resistance to fire, but it does remove the weakness, so it's not like it's getting extra resistance for units that weren't already weak to fire. Treekin are tough to break as is, and the removed weakness to fire will make quite a big difference to a front line of trees and their ability to hold. These guys also deal fire and magical damage, which figures given the fact that they are on fire. One might say these guys look pretty lit. I can't believe I said that. Next up, Hawkeyes of Drakira are a unit of Way Watchers with smoke bombs and the ability to discourage enemies with their ranged attacks. Once more, we see something that will really strengthen the ability to kite with the Wood Elves. A smoke bomb can make a huge difference on the battlefield. The speed debuff has obvious benefits when you're trying to fall back, and even if a charge makes it through, the impact damage and disruption will be greatly reduced. The ability to discourage enemy units is great too, because it can really help scare enemy infantry that has engaged your ranged units, allowing for a quicker response as far as the morale game is concerned. Sending the Hawkeyes of Drakira around enemy lines and firing away into their backs where the line is faltering is going to help you capitalize on low morale, setting you up for envelopments, broken flanks, or shattered centers. Quite a tactical addition to the roster, very excited to see them on the field. Loex Tricksters are a unit of War Dancers with Asurai Spear. With their Loex Shroud ability, they can hide as they stalk closer and closer to the unsuspecting enemy forces, and they'll close that gap quite quickly as well, with Loex Shroud giving them a speed buff as well. They also have a new war dance available to them, Storm of Blades, which is as close to a Song of Ice and Fire reference as the King and the North. It gives them a much higher melee attack, but reduces the melee defense. Stalking will give them a great element of surprise when you've activated Loex Shroud, making your opponent a bit more hesitant about adventurous cavalry maneuvers, and the Storm of Blades will help make very quick work of cavalry that gets stuck in melee as well. The anti-large bonus that comes with Asurai Spear is great as is, and if you add more attacks landing with a boosted melee attack, you've got a pretty quick cavalry killer. Wild Hunters of Kurnos are Wild Riders with shields. As per their lore, they are a unit that serves to guard the Orion du Jour, and as a result of that, they have the Guardian ability that, again, helps nearby characters with physical resistance. Wild Riders with shields are solid units as it is, and the upgraded stats will help them a great deal. They mentioned it on stream as well, but I can't imagine going in with Durthu and the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. That physical resistance will be ludicrous, and the Wild Hunters will need to be shut down right away. And imagine adding in those Firebark Elder as well. It's going to be some trouble taking all that down. We didn't get to see the Wardens of Sithral, but they are going to be Wildwood Rangers with Vanguard deployment and Stalk alongside charge defense against large. With their spears, I assume they'll have anti-large stats as well, and they're going to be another solid line unit to fall back behind. Now, I'm not sure why they weren't shown on stream, but they are mentioned on the FAQ. Maybe there was an oversight. It's okay, there's 30 units to look at. I'm sure something slipped through the cracks. All good. Now, Norsca is an army we haven't even been able to play yet, but they're coming with Regiments of Renown, as we know. Icehorn Marauders are marauders with immunity to vigor and psychology. The immunity to psychology will be quite helpful, and the fact that they're tireless is always going to be helpful as well, of course. A pretty standard low-tier Regiment of Renown unit. We'll see how much use these guys get on the battlefield. Brutes of the Hound are unbreakable berserkers. The fact that they're unbreakable is fantastic because they will probably typically eat a lot of damage and break somewhat easily without it. With the Rage and Berserk helping them as they stick in combat for longer and longer, the Unbreakable trait will help these guys get there and actually stick around once they're at that third level of Berserk. These guys will cause a lot of hurt, I think, and will almost always be on the field if you're going for that Rage or Berserk approach. The Beasts of Tashnar are Norscan warhounds with missile resistance, frenzy, and a small bonus against large enemy units. We haven't really seen Norscan warhounds in action yet, so it's hard to say how they change a non-existent meta, but these guys will be great for shutting down ranged units, and especially mounted ranged units, as the missile resistance will keep them somewhat safe from the inevitable fire. As long as the leadership is kept up as well, they'll probably be very quick to cause a lot of hurt with frenzy. Again, this is all guesswork right now, we'll see how it actually plays out. The Maws of Savagery are armored skin wolves with armor-piercing melee attacks and vanguard deployment. This, paired with the anti-large bonus, makes for a great unit to shut down enemy cavalry. We already saw the Skinwolves do pretty well against cavalry, so this Regiment of Renown is probably a natural addition to a Norscan army that is going up against, say, Bretonnian cavalry or Demigryph knights with halberds. The Mist Stalkers are Fimir warriors that cause terror, have vanguard deployment, and can stalk. These guys will be a great element of surprise as they are quite strong combatants and heavily armored too. They can be sent forward nice and early to take care of adventurous cavalry or ranged units, particularly from Wood Elves, or they can take the time to sneak around to get some great rear charges and break lines where they're faltering. Have your opponent busy fighting mammoths on one end of the field while these Mist Stalkers creep up on the other side for a surprise terror bomb because your opponent simply missed them. Soul Crusher is a war mammoth that has the Strider ability, allowing it to gracefully ignore all terrain penalties, and the Rage ability, giving a ward save for a short amount of time. This war mammoth, depending on cost, is going to be a great addition to the field, especially on more forested battlefields where larger units are going to spend some time bogged down by trees, slowing them down and reducing their stats. The ward save is also going to be quite helpful in either avoiding early damage from range support or to quickly get out of precarious situations provided by enemy halberds, spears, and other anti-large units. Later on in the stream, we got to see the stat card for the Ice-Forged Legion. That's the top-tier Regiment of Renown that is unlocked by becoming a full-fledged champion of the Hound in the Norsca campaign. It's more than one hell cannon in the unit. 4 of them, in fact, so that's going to get a lot of work done on the battlefield. A lot of work. I imagine we'll also get access to this for multiplayer, but I imagine that it'll probably be limited to just 1 on the battlefield. Time will tell. Onwards to Bretonnia. The Beast Slayers of Baston are foot squires that lean towards slaying beasts, resulting in a rather obvious bonus against large. A very high melee defense and charge defense against large will help these guys hold the line, especially when backed up by a Grail Reliquae. These guys will be a great addition to the Bretonnian army, especially when it's expecting cavalry or large units on the other side of the field. People tend to take anti-large units when going up against Bretonnia, and that typically trickles into anti-large cavalry as well. Coming in with the Beast Slayers of Baston means the enemy anti-large bonuses are useless on cavalry, as long as you can manage the situation well enough and make sure that the anti-large large units are engaging the Beast Slayers of Baston. The Holy Wardens of La Maisontal are battle pilgrims carrying sword and hammer into battle, dealing fire and magical damage, and doing more damage than regular battle pilgrims. Battle pilgrims are a common sight on the battlefield, and I think the Holy Wardens will make appearances quite often. The magical damage ignores physical resistance of units like Savage Orcs or Cairn Wraiths, and the fire damage can cause hurt to trees and units with regeneration, and the increased damage output will help strengthen part of the battle pilgrim front line as well. Defenders of the Fleur de Lis are knights errant with frenzy, better arrow blocking with their shields, and better damage output too, resulting from frenzy. All that with their anti-infantry trait makes for a quick cleanup crew. Just keep their leadership up with support and send them frenzying into combat with some cycle charges and watch the enemy fall apart. The melee defense stat, all things considered, isn't terrible either. The Companions of Quenelle are questing knights with the Blessing of the Lady, better armor, and resistance to fire damage. Blessing of the Lady is a great ability coupled with higher armor as well, making these guys pretty good at staying alive as long as they maintain their will to fight. The resistance to damage and fire damage will both be helpful and means that magical damage against Bretonnia might be important to bring to the field now. I'm curious to see how these guys perform against anti-large cavalry like Demigryphs with halberds with a resistance to physical damage, especially when supported by other anti-large units. They have the potential to be great screeners for range support as well. Wardens of Montfort are mounted yeoman archers that deal poison damage and also have a decent charge bonus with great speed, of course. That is an interesting combination. I'm a big fan of sending ranged cavalry units into melee in desperate times, and this certainly fits that bill. Fire poisonous arrows into an enemy unit that's trying to rout, and chase them down with a charge that might shatter them and remove them from the field. Alternatively, look for where the enemy is faltering, hit them with a volley of these poisonous arrows, and then get a great rear charge to break them. And last but not least, poison enemy ranged units and hunt them down in melee. They'll also be great to send behind enemy lines and provide frontline support with poison without getting easily obstructed, though they'll need an escort of anti-large cavalry in case a net of a Mintok goes down, or the Prey of Anathrema or Warp Gaze holds them in place for enemy cavalry to shut them down. A very low melee defense makes it clear that they're not meant to be fighting in melee, only that it can happen if necessary. Knights of the Lionheart are knights of the realm that cause fear while encouraging your own lines. That is extremely helpful as Bretonnia needs the morale support wherever it can get it, and a nice rear charge or two with fear is almost always helpful. These guys are supposedly the best cavalry in the game.
I've heard from Darren himself, from Darren, our content team member, that this is the strongest cavalry unit in the game now.
And if that's the case, I imagine we'll be seeing plenty of them on the field, shutting down enemy cavalry and coming in for confident rear and side charges soon after. And now the Warriors of Chaos. The Demon Spew are a unit of Forsaken with poison attacks and the Swarm of Flies ability, an ability that will reduce enemy melee attack in the area around the Demon Spew. Forsaken are already a great pseudo-cavalry unit with their great speed and hard-hitting melee capabilities. Now, with poison added in the mix, they will make very quick work of enemy infantry and ranged units and prevent quick getaways for enemy lords or adventurous characters that decide to dive in nearby. They'll be a great support unit, able to come around for rear and side charges down the front line as well, getting poison damage in where needed, alongside a lot of extra hurt and morale damage. The Mirror Guard are Chaos Warriors with silver shields for blocking ranged fire as they barrel down the field, and also so that Sigvald can gaze upon his own beauty as he battles besides them. These guys are faster than most Warriors of Chaos units and immune to psychology, and have solid melee attack and defense stats as well. All around, a great unit to take to the field to strengthen the center or a flank, I'd imagine, and they look gorgeous as hell. The Swords of Chaos are Chaos Knights with only a handful of individuals in the regiment. They are Archaon's bodyguards in the lore, hence there are only a few of them in the regiment. This results in the Guardian trait we discussed earlier as well, so you'll really want to keep these guys near your lords to take full advantage of your expenses. The anti-infantry stat will be great at clearing lines, and the apocalyptic charge ability makes these guys quite an interesting addition to the field. A very unique mechanic that triggers when these guys are within 70 meters of the enemy, buffing charge and movement speed across the map for your troops. We don't know how much of a buff we're going to see in terms of numbers, but that's a pretty awesome ability, allowing you to cut into and through enemy lines and close gaps to range support with great speed. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of an apocalyptic charge. Chaos Cavalry and Forsaken will be on a whole new level of utility if the buff is even half decent. Next up, the Weird Spawn are armor-sundering Chaos Spawn that are resistant to physical damage, and I agree.
Look at that color scheme, I love it.
They look amazing. The damage output is quite fantastic, and though they have low armor, the physical resistance makes up for it, of course. It's nice to see armor sundering come into play here. It'll be very helpful against armies like the Dwarfs, and might bring some new potential avenues of approach when using the Warriors of Chaos against them. The Soul of Damnation is a Hell Cannon that has a new ability called Soul Devourer. If the enemy is within a certain range of the Hell Cannon, the Soul of Damnation can fire at a faster rate for some time. That is a very interesting ability, which makes shutting down artillery an important decision to make. You'll really want to push in and engage the Soul of Damnation to stop it from firing, and as the Warriors of Chaos, you'll probably want to bait the enemy to the Soul of Damnation and then try to intercept them before contact is made, allowing you to fire freely with Soul Devourer active. I can't imagine the potency of the Soul of Damnation in the hands of someone who's great at manually firing the Hell Cannon while Soul Devourer is active. Summoners of Rage are Dragon Ogres diving in with magic damage and a one-time use Chain Lightning ability that they can use after being engaged in melee for a set amount of time. These guys will make a great addition, I think, against Greenskins and Vampire counts, especially if they're coming in with Savage Orcs or Ethereal units respectively. The high-speed damage output with magic damage is great, and though Chain Lightning is a Vortex spell, it can harass some back lines and range support as well, considering it's free. Outside of specific builds, though, I imagine they won't make much of a show once the novelty wears off. And that wraps up our conversation today about all the new Regiments of Renown we're getting with this free DLC pack coming out 8 days before Creative Assembly's birthday, so that's a 10th of August release date alongside the Norsca paid DLC. I said it before, I'll say it again, absolutely fantastic to see this kind of post-launch support from Creative Assembly. Their passion is showing. As always, guys, remember to subscribe to this channel for more Total War content. I'm working on my Magic guide currently, but otherwise there are always battles, campaigns, and news in a constant stream. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, cheers.